Okay, so we're about to start the event. This is right before everyone's coming, so just want to show you a little bit the hall, what's going on. Here we have Dr. Shechista. Hi, Dr. Shechista. Thank you for everything. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Amen, 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 amen. So here's our wonderful area. Okay. Sushi's on its way, as is the rabbi, the speaker, and the people. Got some snacks ready. Okay, we're ready to start this evening. Say hi, ladies, guys. Everyone say hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. All right, we're getting the event underway. Rabbi's going to be speaking soon. All right. You want to make sure it's filled up?
You see me?
Yeah, no, because I think you might have to move it.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, that's why I again. That's why, because we moved.
No worries.
Sorry, Mishka. Trying our best. Okay. So we're about to start. We're just testing to make sure our voices work okay. Yes. Best music technology person, I guess. But I don't know what to call you, but you know what I mean. Best. Perfect. Good? Okay. All right. We're ready to start, everyone? Okay. Marina, please. Come inside, because we need the koach of Marina to be in our midst. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2. Guys, if anyone has a problem being on camera, let us know in case you. Okay, 5, okay, and action. Okay. So, guys, we're very excited today. We have a big zechut. We have a very big honor. First of all, thank you everyone for coming. But the big honor we have is we have Rabbi Dr. Jack Cohen, who's going to come join us, and he's going to give us the opportunity to ask any questions on anyone's mind about dating. Okay, no holds barred, but keep it kosher. And we're just going to, leave the forum open for any people that have any questions. If not, I'll ask questions. The rabbi has some questions, and I'm going to come introduce the rabbi right now. Rabbi, Chavod. Thank you. Guys.
I'm honored to be here. I'm especially happy that it's a small group because it's quaint and it's nice. I can speak my mind. Sometimes I have to be more politically correct. And so definitely next week I'll be in Israel, and I kid you not, 8 events every night, including 2 Shabbatons, major. I'm going to be a guest speaker at the Great Synagogue in Jerusalem from Yom Yerushalayim. But I want to share with you some of the experiences that I'm seeing. Perhaps you can appreciate what I do by just telling you my background. I was born in Cairo, Egypt, to a family the father came from Syria via Yerushalayim to Cairo, Sephardic. My mother's family came from Odessa, Ukraine, and ran away from the Bolshevik Revolution. And so Sfaradi, Meir, and Ashkenazi, and they made 3 of us. Anyway, after the 6-day war, we were lucky to get out alive, Baruch Hashem. After the 6th day was very dangerous. We came to New York. From New York, we were warmly greeted and accepted by the Sephardic community in Brooklyn. I went to school locally. It's good. Yeah. I went to school in Brooklyn, one of the local yeshivot, Achiezer, which is right there. From there, it was Yeshiva University High School, followed by NYU and Harvard undergraduate school, college for pre-med. And then NYU Medical School for sports medicine and surgery, where I was a doctor for the Olympic Games in 1984, one of the students that was assigned to it. Along the way, in 1974, when I was living in the Sephardic community in Brooklyn, one of the great rabbis or stars, probably in the top 5 of the greatest rabbis in the world of the last 100 years, decided to pick himself up from a black area called East Flatbush and put himself right in the middle of Ocean Parkway and Avenue West. That would be Rabbi Avigdor Miller. Rabbi Avigdor Miller was probably number 3 or number 4 in the world. I got to meet him when I was 12 years old. he would become my rabbi for the rest of my life. If you don't know who he is, I don't know what rock you're hiding under, because every week 75,000 pamphlets go throughout the world to almost every country to discuss his commentary in the parasha of the week. When he passed away, I had a little lull I was a physician. It was a little lull in my life, but not too long, because you need a Rebbe. Without a Rebbe, you don't have direction. You need a rabbi, you need a mentor. And one of the questions that I ask girls who come to me, I get a lot of girls coming to me, from all types. I deal with everybody. Married, not married, religious, not religious, Hasidic, Temani, Syrian, Ashkenaz, Ukrainian, you name it. Does the guy that you're dating have a mentor? Does he have a rabbi? Why is that important? It's extremely important. Because if the marriage has a problem, you go to the man and he fixes the problem. He does it quietly. He does it intelligently. The last thing you want is to get your parents involved. Once your parents are involved, it's horrible, because they're never going to love the son-in-law, daughter-in-law as much as they should. So it's very important. Anyway, these rabbis groomed me. And second one that came into my life when I was in Israel, and I was at the Western Wall, the Kotel, in 2006, someone gives me a book and he says, read this. It's called The Garden of Emunah. Ladies and gentlemen, I could not put that book down. I have since read that book 14 times in my life. It's not just a book, it's a game changer about how it affects you. And when I deal with people that are not religious, as I start to help them in marriage, I say, you got to read this book. You need a GPS to life. You need to understand why you had a flat tire, why this family had a child that was born with special needs, why this person passed away in a car accident. The questions of life that eat away at you, that you can't seem to deal with, you can get answers in that book. So anyway, that man who wrote the book was Avshalom Arush. He himself was an Israeli person of Moroccan heritage who had 5 of his friends die in the IDF. He was a medic in the IDF, and 5 of his friends passed away one day in a helicopter accident, and he started to question, what's life about? What's it all about? Why are we here? He would go on to write a book that I think today has sold more copies than the Bible. In the millions upon millions in 15 languages. I would join him in Ukraine, in Uman, I think 12 Rosh Hashanahs in a row, just to be with him. We've been there 4 or 5 years, but the point is, again, these 2 people mentored me. And along the way, I decided that I had had enough of getting up at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning to go to hospitals. I didn't want that anymore in my life. I wanted to be able to make a living 1 to 8, 1 to 7, 9 to 12, I wanted to do my own thing. For me, that was to learn Torah and to teach it. So with his encouragement, Rabbi Miller's encouragement, I learned for many years, took classes, then he said to me, get out of here. It's time for you to teach. And so I did. Through many yeshivot in Brooklyn, many boys coming home from Israel. You know how it goes in the yeshivot of Brooklyn, whether it's co-ed or not co-ed, you're highly encouraged to take a gap year and go to Israel. If you haven't done it in your life, it doesn't make a difference how old you are. I would encourage you strongly. I've had many clients leave in their 30s and 40s and just spend 3, 4, 5 months in Israel. Get to know yourself. Get to know who you are. Get to know what you're about. And so as these boys and girls would come home from their gap years, the boys obviously going to yeshiva, the girls going to seminary, many of them came to my classes, asked me questions about the boys or girls that they were dating. I was clueless at the time. It wasn't my skill. My skill was to go in and do operations on ankles and feet. What did I know about that? Well, I started to read book after book after book, and quickly I found myself under 5 chuppahs, 10, 100, 200, 300, 500, 1,000, 1,200, more. And then creating my own itinerary. And then from that itinerary, I gave my own classes. So one day, we used to have a class in a yeshiva 10 minutes away from here, Wednesday night, called Wednesday Night Dating with Dr. Jack. Not so different than this. Obviously, it was only boys. And we would have buffet dinner. I created a class, and I gave the class on dating, and one person came in, says, I represent Torah Anytime. I didn't even know who that was. We heard you're good. Can we go ahead and tape you? I said, go ahead. This is going back now 8 years. 3 days later, I'm getting emails from all over the world. all over the world. I have problems in my relationship. I need your help. And then I said, God, I think I know where you're sending me now. And that led to a dating, coaching, second career, and lecturing and doing. It is not an easy assignment, but it's one of the most fulfilling assignments in the world, to be able to build a Jewish home for people. And so I love what I do. And throughout the day, I'm on Zooms and WhatsApps literally throughout the world. Today was Mexico City, was LA, was Miami, was a bunch. So today, I'm just going to share with you some of the questions that I've been asked over the years. Pipe in, by the way, and ask any question you want. Attack me. And I'm happy to hear it. And I'm happy to hear what you have to say. And along the way, let's have fun with it a little bit. Let me start with a small story about appreciating someone's potential. The Baal Tshuva movement, what does that mean? The Baal Tshuva, the Return to Judaism movement, began about 40 years ago across the world. In France, in Paris, was a woman who herself was interested in marrying a person who would sit and learn Torah. She was going to be a CPA, she was going to go to the university at the Sorbonne, which is a very famous university in Paris, and she came up with the idea, I will become a CPA, I will make the household parnasah, the living, and my husband will learn. Together we split the merit of him learning Torah, which is an incredibly amazing merit. So she tells her father, Dad, I am ready to date for marriage. She's about 21 years old. And he says to his brother, do you see anybody in synagogue that might be a suitable match for my daughter? Her name is Esther. Fine. She's smart. She wants someone in learning. He doesn't understand what that word means. They make up that there's going to be a blind date in a 5-star hotel in Paris, and they're going to meet in the lobby. They've never seen each other. Okay. So she's sitting there all proper, decked out, beautiful dress, makeup, the whole 9 yards. And as an aside, it's so important. God forbid, I don't mean to focus on the girls in the room, but it's important to wear makeup. I've had to tell 3 girls in the last 24 hours, why are you not wearing makeup? It's very important. It's important to be put together. Anyway, so she's all put together, and a guy approaches her with a Grateful Dead t-shirt and cut-up jeans. Are you Esther? She says, who are you? What can I do for you? Are you like the parking attendant? He says, no, I'm your date. The girl turns white as a ghost. What are you talking about? You don't even look religious. You don't even have a kippah on. Oh, I'm so sorry. Goes to the back of his pocket, pulls out one of those kippahs, puts it on. Is this okay? So they sit down, and she's like, she wants to kill her father. What's he thinking? And he's sitting down, he says to her, so tell me, what are you looking for? She says, I want to work and become an accountant, and I want my husband to learn Torah as long as possible, and we'll share that merit. He looks at her very innocently, and he says to her, why would you want that? I'm going to be an architect. I'm finishing my master's in 6 months at the University of Paris, and they're now fighting about what are the right goals to have in life and what direction, and he's telling her, you know what you're talking about, it's wrong what you're pursuing, etc. After an hour, she gets up and she says, are you done? Can I go now? Enough with your speech? He looks at her and he says to her, what if I became that guy? Would you be interested in me? She looks at him, not in a million years could you ever become that guy. Okay, she goes home, she tells her father, she lets him have it. You wasted my time with a total loser. A total loser. What's it all about? He goes and he tells his brother, you made such problems for me. My daughter and I, not talking now. All right, they made up. 3 weeks later, the uncle calls the father. He goes, he wants another date with her. He dropped out of college and he went to yeshiva in Aix-les-Bains. Aix-les-Bains is a yeshiva it's on the border of Switzerland and Paris. It was started by one of the Chafetz Chaim's Talmidim who ran away from the Holocaust. I've been there. It's a beautiful yeshiva. And he'd like to see her in the same hotel. So they make up for the second date. It's 3 weeks later. And our friend walks in with a velvet kippah, blue shirt, nice trousers, pants, and he's sitting down and he says to her, I took your advice. I decided to go to yeshiva and learn. And I'm loving it. Inspiration. I feel like I'm living for something. I have values. I have a goal in my life. I'm working on my midot. You know, Judaism is an accountable religion. It doesn't allow you just to sit and vegetate. You got to be growing in Judaism. That's what it's about. How do we know? Very simple. Every 30 days, we have Rosh Chodesh. The moon comes and goes. That's a time to take a accounting of how am I doing. Every 7 days, we have Shabbat. I sit, I rest, I enjoy the food. I don't work. I don't put the cell phone on. I think about how my week was and where am I going with my life. Right? Every year, we have Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. What's the story? Take an accounting. How was my year? What's it all about? I start to take an accounting of my life and think about it. And now the conversation is really flowing. And they're really enjoying themselves. After 2 hours of endless conversation, it's time to go. He says to her, magic question, can I have another date with you? She's thinking about it. She says, no. No! He's really broken. Because he thought he made the move, right? He made the change. Anyway, she goes home. She's not sure if she did the right thing, but she's comfortable with her decision. His name was Yosef, by the way. Yosef Levi. Anyway, word gets back to her that Yosef left Paris to go to Monsey, New York, where he's studying in Yeshivat Or Sameach. Today it's called Torah's David. There are 2 major yeshivas in the world, Or Sameach and Nesha Torah, that are responsible to produce most of the people that come back to Judaism. If you've been to Israel, right there by the Kotel is Esha Torah's main campus, started by Noah Weinberg. Right? So anyway, he's there. And now the years are rolling by. Our maiden, she's no longer 21. She's now 24, 26, 28. She's starting to get older now. And the word gets back when she's 29 that Yosef went on to Israel. He joined the yeshiva. He got married. They saw that he was a superstar. He got a financier to bankroll him, built a building. Yosef now is dean to 300 students. Rosh Yeshiva. Look how he climbed from 0. He has a magnificent building in Jerusalem, 300 students. He got married. And she's thinking, boy, did I blow it. I had an opportunity. I didn't really see it. It was in front of me. And the years roll by and roll by. She's now 38 years old. 17 years later. And word comes back, because we really all can identify with this, that there was a terrorist attack in Israel. And he had 5 kids with this wife. The wife and the 3 kids were killed in a bus bombing. And she felt so bad. And now, after 30 days, he's coming back to Paris in order to be able to take shiva calls from relatives that were related to him. And everyone's talking in Paris. He's coming back. Do you want a date with him? And she's thinking, I better not blow it this time. So, same place, same hotel. And she's waiting. And in comes through the front door a man, looks like an angel. Hamburg. You know what a Hamburg hat is? That is reserved only for Rosh Yeshivot, for deans. Like so big hat with the frock, that means the long coat up to the knee. That's only top stuff. He walks in, black and white, looks like an angel. She's like in shock. This is the guy with the Grateful Dead t-shirt and the cut-up jeans. And he sits down and they start talking about how life just progressed. And he says to her, it's all because of you. You changed my life. My wife used to go to the Kotel every Sunday, take 2 buses to pray for you. Because if not for you, I never would have married her. You made me to what I am. She starts to cry. And she says, I had mercy. You had mercy on me. And I never had mercy on you. 4 dates later, they were engaged to be married. On the day of their wedding, he says to her, I'd like to give you a souvenir. He pulls out the first kippah he ever wore. And he goes, put this in our photo album. And they had 2 kids. So, it's about, there's so many lessons to be learned from here. We live in a very superficial world. We live in a very superficial world. We live in a very wealthy society. And much of mistakes that we make is because we don't scratch deep enough to see what the midot are all about. I'll tell you a story. A woman by the name of Gila Mandelson took a birthright trip. She's today one of the biggest dating mentors in Israel. She came from California in jeans. I'm sorry, looking just like you. Okay? And no, nothing wrong with it. It's fine. And someone takes her, and I used to be like that, don't worry. Yeah. Takes her to a wedding in Jerusalem and says to her, an Orthodox wedding, and explains to her what it's like in the mechitza. And she says, what a ridiculous life. Why would people want this? But it eats away at her. And she says to her mentor, can I stay? I heard about Neve Yerushalayim, which is the girls' version of Eshet Torah. And there she stays for 4 or 5 months. She starts to keep Shabbat, mitzvot, etc. You know, the clothing changes, everything. And now it's time. She's about to get engaged to a student in Eshet Torah. It's time to meet the rabbi who's the dean, because the boy that she's going out with says to her, I can't get engaged to you unless my rabbi approves of you, which is great. And it's one of the world's greatest celebrities or personalities, Noah Weinberg. He was a star. He started Eshet Torah. Anyway, she walks in, and she's confident with herself, and he sits down with her. She says, an imposing rabbinical figure sitting behind a desk. He says, how are you? What's doing? What school did you go to? UCLA, so nice. What'd you study? What was your major? Psychology, fantastic. And they're rolling. She says she writes in her diary, I know I'm doing well here. And now he hits her. He hits her with the magic question. Gila, my dear, can you tell me, what's your definition of love? What's love? And she says, well, I'm doing so well so far. I figured I can wing this one. So she says, Rabbi, love is the feeling that you have when you feel like you have that feeling. And she says to herself, boy, did I blow it. I can't even define what love is. Love is not a feeling. Because love is a feeling. Feelings are fickle. They're here today and gone tomorrow. And if you're going to base your decision on a feeling, it can lead you to a miserable human being, an abuser, or someone just totally wrong for you. So she started to do her own research. Yeah, you're liking this, right? Because now you're making computations of your first marriage. Right? Okay, good.
What Rabbi Tversky said a lot.
Right. So, love can't be a feeling, she says to herself. So what is love? She says, what should I be looking for? Besides physical attraction, I want to make a point here. You must be physically attracted to the person that you're going out. I am not in any way diminishing that at all. You must. But you have to understand something. Physical attraction is the lobby to the building. Hashem created that for a reason. God created physical attraction for a reason. Why does he want that? Because ultimately, he wants children in the world. The first mitzvah of the Torah, Piru irbu milu ta'aretz. Be fruitful and multiply. He wants men to be attracted to women. He wants women to be attracted to men. But that's the lobby. Now you need to take the elevator up the building. And now she says, I figured it out. I need a guy who's loyal. I need a guy who's caring. I need a guy who's honest. I need a guy who has integrity. I need a guy who's spiritually growing. I need a guy who's morally unshakable. Morally unshakable. Vice versa. I was at Sharon Gaines' event last week, speaking to a Bukharian guy. Good-looking guy. Put-together guy. Right? What happened? My wife decided to become a nurse. And she started studying with someone in college. Next thing I know, she's in bed with him. 4 kids. 4 kids. Now comes the ugly divorce, private investigators. If I tell you this story, you can't make this up. I fear for her life. Because they caught her red-handed. She walks into the synagogue. She opens the Hechal, where we keep the Sefer Torah. She tells the rabbi, go ahead and open the parasha that deals with a woman of infidelity. I'm going to read it now. I mean, this woman is taking her life into her hands. She reads it. and she's caught again. So I really fear for her if she's going to make it past the year. You know what I'm saying? That is a very scary move to pull off. Anyway, so love, she determined, is what the rabbi told her that day. She said to her, let me tell you what love is. Love is the attachment that comes between two people because you appreciate the person's goodness in their thoughts and their actions. This guy is good. This woman is good. That means they got your back. Understand? Here, honey, you can have the seat first. Sweetie, I'll pick you up from the subway. No problem, I got you. Go to work, take care of it. It's ishto kegufo. It's his wife is his body. That's Hebrew. His wife is his body. It's one unit. That's what we're looking for. Again, love is the attachment. This is Noah Weinberg. I didn't come up with this. I wish I did. Love is the attachment that comes as a result of appreciating someone else's goodness in their thoughts and their actions. Such a love can make it even when it has tough times. Even every marriage is going to have some low in the action. But such a love in which you based your first decision because you saw something good in their deeds, the kindness, compassionate, goodness, sharing. Now you know you're going somewhere. She says the following. She became a therapist. She lives in Israel. She said, I once had a couple, Larry and Linda. Larry and Linda were on the same page in everything. They agreed on politics. They agreed on diet. They agreed on food. They agreed on travel. They agreed on music. They were enviable. Everyone was jealous of them. They had such a great marriage, or so they thought. Larry and Linda are now divorced. What happened? They made one mistake. They didn't understand that life is about personal growth. Judaism, if you're practicing it correctly, forces you to grow. It doesn't allow you to remain stagnant. Larry and Linda didn't realize that marriage, listen to what she says, is a spiritual path. If you're going out with someone that's completely disconnected from religion, beware. Marriage is a spiritual path. As a result, self-centeredness took over, leaving Larry only caring about Larry, Linda caring about Linda, and the marriage just basically crumbled. I'll give you an example. I have a Shalom Bayit case in Las Vegas. She became religious at 50. She's a banker. He's a mortgage guy or something like that. Something like that. She goes and walks the mile to shul. And sometimes it can get pretty hot in Las Vegas, or over 100 degrees in the summer. He doesn't care. He washes his car, he goes to play tennis, catches up on the latest news, gets into his car 10 minutes before the Kiddush, goes up there and enjoys himself on the cholent and the whiskey, etc. I kid you not, the police are there 4 times a year. So you need someone who's into growth, into spiritual growth. It's so important. That is the glue that is essential in order to make that marriage work. So now, I'm going to ask some questions, and I'll tell you what I think the answers are. These are questions. I was on a podcast called Headlines. It is run by a guy named David Lichtenstein. David Lichtenstein is a multi-billionaire who owns trophy properties in Manhattan. We're talking about towers. He's also a Talmudic scholar and an absolute genius. He has probably more downloads than anyone in the world, called Headlines. So every week he attacks a certain area. So I'm usually been on his show once a year. And he said to me, come up with some questions that you've been asked and we'll discuss them. So I'll take them with you. Question number 1, how do you advise people who complain that they've been going out with someone for a while and they're not feeling it? You guys, you ever heard that? Girls, you ever felt that? Right? Answer. I'll explain. So I'm dealing right now with a couple, lovely couple. She is a investment banker at one of the top finance houses in Wall Street. She's Moldovan. And he is one of the biggest AI experts in the world at Columbia. He is Brazilian, Polish father and Lebanese mother. 5 years going out. Right? Now I'm working with them. And the answer is to the question is, how do I, what? And they're having issues. And here's the answer. You're not asking the right questions. This is a PDF that I created for that show that I have probably emailed 10,000 times or more to people all over the world. These are the most important 100 questions to ask in dating. So for a couple that went out 5 years, you'd think they would have talked about everything. I asked the first 30 questions, maybe they asked 2 out of the 30 to each other. So if you're not asking the right questions, you're definitely not going to build an attraction. We live, as Rabbi Miller would say, we live in the world of words. Our life in this world is really all about verbal. Actions are small compared to how much time we spend talking. Would you agree, girls? I think so, right, guys? Exactly. So the questions that you ask will determine if she's for you or not for you. To me, it's absolutely ridiculous that you can go out 4 months, 5 months, and 6 months and tell me you're not sure. I can tell you how to do it in 2 dates. Maybe even less. 2 to 3 dates. You can get a rough idea if you're with the right person. Why? Well, listen to some of the questions. And they're not, you don't need a PhD to put these questions together, but they get to the heart of life. What are some things you're proud of? Yes?
What if you're not being fully forthcoming with the questions that you suggest?
What if you're not being, I'm not understanding that question. You mean, yeah, go ahead.
These questions, you're going to ask them.
Yes.
The person you're asking them to, with their answers, they're not being fully forthcoming.
Then that's a good question. The answer is you're not going to be magnetically attracted to them. It's the responses that are going to press a button in your heart. So.
But there are things like, for example, somebody was sick, maybe a grandfather or a grandmother with something that you tip over and they're not being forthcoming about that. You may need to dig and you find out. And
so for that, I would answer you differently. If you date consistently enough, it's hard for people to fake you out and stay that way. Eventually, you're going to catch a contradiction or inconsistency.
Right, but by that point, you invested so much.
That's life. When it comes to dating, you invest. You don't know where the end result is. You don't. But if you don't do anything, you're not going anywhere. Life's about, I always tell everyone, what does bitachon mean? What does trust in God mean? Trust in God means I make the effort, but I have no hand in the result. You understand? I don't know if I'm going to get that job, but I got to go for the interview. I don't know if I'm going to get that parking spot, but I got to take my car and try. So again, results are not in our hands. Bitachon, trust in God, means He expects me to do something. Pick up the phone and get the order. You understand? Go get food. The person who wrote that famous book, Chovot Levavot, from the 13th century in Spain, wrote like this. You could say, you know what? God, you take care of it. I'm not going to eat. You'll figure out a way to sustain me. No, you will die if you don't pick up a spoon and eat. So human action is the effort. The results are not in your hands, but you have to get out there and swing. You never know. Okay. Yes?
Question. My whole thing that we started here, a few months already, is about becoming the right one so that you can find the right one.
Love it.
So how would you, look at that question and tackle that question of what does it mean to become the right person so that you can attract the right person into your life and build the kind of home you want to build? If you can share that with us.
Becoming the right person is having the most balanced life you can possibly have and have a trajectory of growth. For example, I get up, here's my ideal guy, okay? He gets up 7:15. No shortage of synagogues in Brooklyn now. This is not Wisconsin. He goes to shul, takes him about an hour. If he has a little time, he goes to the rabbi's class, 15 to 20 minutes. He listens in, maybe a little parsha of the week, maybe some lessons of how to behave, become a better person, maybe some Rashi, goes to work, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, goes to the gym for an hour, 3 times a week. If he's single, back to the Beit Midrash at night, another 1 hour of learning. Somewhere he's figured out dinner, and then, let's say he has a social event one night, he has a date, and he's keeping good friends. He or she are keeping good friends. Friends that are going to help propel you up. Not people that are going to bring you down. That's very important, ladies and gentlemen. Analyze your friends.
But that's kind of general. So in other words, if I'm going and I'm dating someone.
Yes.
She's dating, he's dating, whatever. We're dating someone.
Yeah.
How do we know that this is the right person? We don't know.
Because,
Yeah,
I'll tell you why. You've established for yourself, you've established for yourself an idea of what you want, and I'm going to get into it a little later. You've created for yourself a list. It's called the top 10 list. I'm happy you asked that question. I'm a very big believer. You sit down with a piece of paper and write down, what are the 10 qualities that I want to see in a person? And then when you date them, you're fishing for 6 out of 10. Just majority. That's it. 6 out of 10. If that girl or that guy has those qualities and you consistently see them in the dates, the energy's right, you miss her when you don't see her, you call her on the dates that you're not with her, that means your heart's with her. Understand? That's how you know. Essentially, you've created a top 10 list, you have an idea of what you want, and she's meshing with you. Love, they say, by the way, I did a very big interview last week at Chabad Young Professionals they have television studios. And I hit them with a line, they loved this line. Love is not two people looking at each other. Love is two people looking in the same direction. You heard that? Are we looking in the same direction? If I want 5 or 6 kids and you don't want any, we got a problem. You understand? I'll give you an example. I set up a guy to go out. And he's a tough cookie for me. Right, he's a high anxiety, I gotta keep an eye on everything with him. I watched every date. I actually made every date for them. Until he was okay, after 10 dates, he was rolling on his own. And then I went to Panama to give a few lectures. I came back. They had gotten engaged. I was so scared that this should go well. I forced the engagement to be in my living room. I made my daughter and my granddaughter put up the carpet with the roses. I got the bottle of champagne with the stand. I even printed, "Will you marry me, Ella?" Right? So I thought everything's rolling. I went away. I came back to problems. Why? Because he was hiding in the sand. He was like a Baal Tshuva, good boy. He wanted a mechitza in his wedding. He's not that religious, but it meant a lot to him that there would be a mechitza. Right? And the girl's parents, who were very traditional Bukharian, weren't going for it. They wanted mixed dancing with everything. So I said to him, XYZ, leave it alone for now. I will deal with this one day before the wedding. I'll get an agreement going. I'll deal with it. But he kept nudging, and he wanted a commitment early on, right? But here was the kicker. He hoped that his kids would go boys' school for boys and girls' school for girls. And the girl sat with me, she says, I never agreed to that. I'm open to public school. The guy turned white as a ghost. So I said to him, I'm just changing the name. I said, Nathan, you went out with her for 6 months. You didn't discuss this? It's a basic. How religious do you want to be? What school systems do you want to attend? And the thing just unraveled in front of my eyes.
So are you saying that it's not about how you feel with the person alone? It's about asking a lot of questions to really
Yes.
know the person very well.
Yes.
On the same page.
Yes. As a doctor, I still maintain my license. So I have dealings with a lawyer in Buffalo. He's one of the top healthcare lawyers in New York State. And he flew in, I'll explain to you, I'll prove it to you. He flew into New York from Buffalo because he had a hearing with the Department of Health in Manhattan. After the hearing, it's back into an Uber, back to JFK to go back on the flight to get JetBlue. He gets to JetBlue, the weather turns bad, and it's about 7 o'clock at night. And he said to him, you know what, there's been a 4-hour delay. Why don't you go over to the TWA airport, right next to the JetBlue terminal, hang out, have a drink, and we'll call you when it's time to board. Fine. He walks in and he sees the shock of his life. In the lounge in the TWA airport, 100 Orthodox couples on dates. 100. This is a famous place, by the way, for Orthodox dating. TWA Hotel. And he calls me up the next day. He goes, what's up with that? What's going on over there? I said, that's real dating going on. What's going on? They're asking very targeted questions. They're going out with the girl, and the girl's going out with the guy. They're not there to waste time. They're searching for their life partner. So they're going to ask questions. And they're looking for qualities and character. And I'm going to continue to ask the question, to share these questions with you. These are the kind of people who in 3 or 4 dates know if it's going to work or not work. You understand? And he was like, whoa. In my world, he says, we go out 3 or 4 years, we live with each other, and all that stuff. It basically never goes anywhere, waste of life, 5, 6, 8, 9 years, meaningless nonsense. But this is the way to date, and this is how to get to the end result quickly. So let's keep going. What makes you happy in life? How have you grown in the last 5 years? Now imagine the girl asks you that question, Shifta. Well, I've grown, I upped it from 1 class to 3 classes a week. I finished Mesilat Yesharim, one of the classic books on character development, which was written by an Italian scholar, Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. I finished Chovot Levavot. I made Siyum on 2 or 3 Gemarot. I went to Israel, Project Birthright. No, you tell it. You're telling her this. No, the girl? Very simple. A girl to impress me, I want to hear one thing. She's doing voluntary work of chesed. I work with special needs. I help volunteer. I deliver Shabbat meals to the poor. I want to hear volunteer. Chesed. I'm not a genius, but where do I get it from? Very simple. Open the Bible. The first shidduch in the world was made for Avraham, sent his servant to go find me a wife for my son. What was he searching for? Master's degree from Torah? No. That she was a CEO of a major company? No. Smart? No. Kindness. He made a deal with God. The girl that gets me water and gives my camels and my guys water, that's the one. So if you show me a girl that on her transcript has been doing voluntary and chesed work, whoa, you got my attention. Why? What does that tell me now? She's going to be a great mom. She's a giver.
What about the guy?
If he has time to do chesed, kol hakavod.
But it's not important.
It's always good. Chesed is good. Chesed is a part of our being as Jews. I don't like to brag and act arrogant. But tell me, most of the hospitals of the world are named after us. Mount Sinai, and etc., and Maimonides, and come on. Beth Israel, come on. So can you find another religion in the world that has many lone societies as us? You can borrow baby carriages. You can borrow corsets for a wedding. You could borrow chairs. Whenever we have a party, my wife tells me, go to XYZ. She has 150 chairs in her garage. There's a code in the side. Pull up the garage. Just put it back where you found it. Yeah, this is our being. As Jews, that's just in our nature. That's our part of our core. You understand? So if I see a girl that's doing chesed, which is doing kind acts, I'm interested. I'm very interested. Because now I know she's a giver. It's not about taking. Although it's okay to take, but you want to ask a question?
Can we just unpack this with Eliezer and Rivka?
Yeah.
He ventured out to find a wife for Yitzchak, but his approach was rather interesting, rather different, because he stood by the well, which seems to me like where the social areas where people...
That was where people congregated. That's where Yaakov went for Rachel. Yeah.
But he remained stoic. He sat, because it was obvious at the place where people congregated there's an unfamiliar face. So somebody is going to inquire, and it seemed to be Rivka. And what did he see?
So back up for a minute. Yeah. I want to add a very important event. Yeah. He was feeling really good about himself because the 10-day trip now had cut down to 3. So he sees God's with him. And he made a deal with God. Yes. He made a deal with God. He said, the girl that does X, Y, Z, yes, he was a stoic about it, but you know what? You could do that with God. He said, if you're doing a mitzvah, if you're doing a good act, you could put God in the corner and say, I need a sign if this is right for me. You understand?
And when she approached him, he saw that she was raised well by her parents as
right.
far as offering help with the drink.
Yes.
Just to point out that it's not as simple as it seems. It's a lot more body language, not body language, but
one more time?
To,
yeah.
Meaning it doesn't it's seemingly simple.
We don't care about the family, we care about her. You understand? She did what she's supposed to do. They lured him in to kill him. You understand? The idea was to give him poisoned food and knock him off. But Hashem did a miracle and flipped the food, and it ended up being eaten by her father, and he kicked the bucket. They lured him in to kill him. That was the whole idea. But she passed the test, and he put down a test, and she passed it. By the way, there are times in life, God's going to give you a very clear sign. I'm going to tell you a story that just absolutely blew me away. I was in shul this morning. I go to the Landau's shul. What I like about that shul is that there's 61 minyanim a day, from 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. So I'm no early bird. I get up at 7, but I pray at 9:30. That's my minyan every day. I like to read quietly. I like to take the half-hour walk to shul and talk to God on the way. I do my gratitude session. I'm a huge believer in gratitude session every day with God. Gratitude opens the doors to anything you want in life. I'm telling you right now. Gratitude is key. Thank you for my life, my health, my wife, my children. I went to the bathroom. That's considered big stuff. Thank you for my money, my house, my apartment, my car, my vacation, etc. A guy says to me, Rabbi, I got to share an incredible story with you. You know, it's always a test. It's always a huge test for everyone here, especially if you're men and you go to synagogue. Should I take the phone in with me or not? You know, many synagogues have cubbies now in the lobby, so you can not take your phone in so you don't disrupt people. He goes, and he's a very successful healthcare guy. He sells healthcare. He sells all types of healthcare, materials and supplies. I never heard a story like this. So he says, you know what? For a good while, I was good. I wasn't doing business before praying, because you're not supposed to do it. We all fall victim to that. Answer an email to work, the buyer, etc. Now, he had happened to have gotten a huge opportunity. A guy wanted to buy a lot of stuff from him. And he was interested in gauze. Gauze, right? So he decides he's doing it, and he's gonna nail this deal. He decides to take a shower. He has an apartment, and the shower doors, not always where he's renting the apartment, are not so sturdy. He pulls a little too hard. 2 tempered glass doors come shattering on him. You know, explosion. He should have been killed on the spot. He's standing in a rubble of glass. The maid hears what's going on, and she calls Hatzalah. Now he has little cuts here and there, right? They sort of have to pick him up they said, we have to take you to the hospital. No, it's okay. It was an absolute miracle, right? He says, that day, before shul, he decided, he's going to go. And he has to put something in the garbage. He opens the garbage can, and there was a wrapper, 4x4 gauze. And he goes, God was talking to me. I tried to make the deal for $300,000-$400,000 on gauze. He said, don't do that again. Sometimes God will send you a clear sign. Sometimes, most of the time not. But anyway, so now, how have you grown and changed in the past 5 years? What are you doing currently to maintain your spiritual growth? For a guy, I spoke about it. For a girl, maybe 2 minutes of prayer a day, maybe 1 or 2 Psalms, Tehillim, that kind of thing. Describe a challenge you faced in life and how it made you a better person. I survived COVID. My mother died from cancer. I didn't buckle in, God forbid. All of us have challenges. I want to know, if you had a challenge, how you faced it. Why? Because now I see if you've got the character to deal with life's challenges. Life is going to throw all types of challenges at you. I want to know what you're made of. Who's your best friend? How long have you known him? How long have you known her? What quality do you look for in a friend? They're all here. And by the way, anyone who needs it, just shoot me a WhatsApp and I'll send it to you. 305-206-1916 is my cell phone. And if anyone needs it, I'll give it to you again. And shoot me a WhatsApp and I'll send you the list. What career field would you like to enter? Do you enjoy your job? And that's important. Where would you like to live? This becomes a problem when certain communities, the girls don't want to move in the United States. They're stuck. Will he come to me? is the question. Will he come to me? I get it all the time in certain communities. And I say to them, that's not the halakha. That's not the law. I'll whip out a Manis Friedman article. He's a genius. And he writes there. He says, there was a couple standing in front of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who I happen to have had the pleasure to know very well. And he said, they were arguing about getting engaged. And she was demanding that he should live in her city. And he tells the woman to walk outside, and he says, it's not for you. She's already putting up demands of where she wants to live. Everyone knows that the law is you go where the guy's livelihood is. So that's important. Again, do you have a Rebbe you're close to? That's a question a girl would ask a guy or a mentor, but I also like to hear if a girl has a mentor that she goes to. Who influences her? What's your best quality? Oh, you might say it's arrogant. No, it's not. Rav Avigdor Miller always told us, when you're dating, sell. Sell yourself. What are you about? Don't be shy. If you accomplished, if you got promoted, if you did well in school, you got a good sale, let the other person know. It's okay. Dating is about selling yourself. Do you consider yourself to be a happy person? That's a very important question. Watch how they answer that question. I deal with a lot of divorced people. No one told me he suffered from depression. No one told me she suffered from depression. Until I got married and it was too late. We have a high divorce rate today. 60%, maybe a little bit more, because people are not doing due diligence in the dating process. They're hiding their heads under the sand. They're not asking these questions. If they did, I can tell you now, we would cut that rate down at least 80%. Do you feel yourself getting angry often? That's a big one for the girls to look out for. Rav Shalom Arush, who wrote the Garden of Emunah, taught me a principle. There are 3 things that absolutely are musts that a girl needs to look out for and to be careful. And I'll tell them to you in Hebrew, and I'll tell them to you in English. Look out and check to see if the guy has the following. Ka'as, kamtan, kaptan. Ka'as. Does he have a tendency to be angry? I mean, it's okay to lose your cool once in a while, but is there a constant repetitive episodes where he blows his temper? Ka'as. Kamtan. Is he cheap? I had a case where a guy took a girl in 90-degree weather under the Brooklyn Bridge for 2 hours and even offered her a bottle of water. It's a bad thing. And 3, kapdan. Is he firm on having it his way all the time? Comes the word makpid, my way or the highway. So you want to look for these things. It's important. And how do I do that? So I always tell people, rotate what you do for a date. Why? It can't be just all about going out for food. You want an interactive date once, you want a lounge, you want a dinner, you want paint and sip, let's go for pottery, shuffleboard, board games. Get to see them from different vantage points. You never know what makes them tick. It might be one date that opens things up. Sometimes there's a lot of traffic, I'm not sure, and then you get them at a certain point where they just open up. So try different date venues. How do you resolve a difficult decision? Who do you turn to for advice? When I deal with a girl who's 24 years old and I ask her, who do you turn to for an important advice? And she tells me, my 23-year-old girlfriend. That's sad. It's very sad. What the heck does she know? What does a 23-year-old girl know? I want her to tell me I have a 45-year-old mentor, Rebbitzin, 50, 55. When someone, I had that last week with a woman who called me from the other side of the country to talk to her daughter who's here, right? And she said to me, I said to her, who do you turn to for advice? Oh, my friends. And you could tell right away, people who have that kind of twisted ideology doesn't go very far. The mother's on top of the daughter. Come on, she's 34 years old. She's not getting married already. Rabbi, stay on top of it. I said, I will. I get 2 or 3 text messages from the girl. No, I don't have time. I don't want to go forward with it. Her loss. It's fine. The point is, when you have someone who's got this crooked ideology, it affects them, and they go on and waste more years of their life. Okay. How do you spend Shabbat? Oh, I want to hear that. What do you do? Describe to me your Shabbat table of the future. And if I hear something like, oh, my husband and I, or my wife and I sitting at a beautiful table, freshly manicured wife, kids squeaky clean from clean showers, my husband went to synagogue, and she cooked for him a nice meal. Wow, I'm hearing what I want to hear. You understand? Versus, well, you know, we get up at 11 o'clock, we go to the mall, come back. That's not what I'm looking for. You get it all, by the way. Give me a second. Oh, who do you most admire? Who's your role model? I got to tell you an amazing story. There was a guy who was a Torah student, a Midrash yeshiva boy, 23, about to get married, when he suddenly developed, a sort of bad rash or acne on his face, and 2 weeks later is his wedding. The mother is like frightened. What are we going to do? What's going to be with the pictures, the day of the wedding? She asks her friends. They recommend this top dermatologist on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. He'll fix it. So the boy walks in, pretty packed waiting room, sits down, and they're processing patients, and suddenly some punk rock star with yellow and pink hair walks in. And everyone's going to everyone like, wow, look who walked in. Look who walked in. They're all admiring her, asking for an autograph. When the guy nudged him, the guy sitting next to him, look who walked in. I don't know who she is. And then they start circulating a rumor in the waiting room. Did you get this greenhorn? He doesn't know who she is. Look how primitive he is. Like they say in Hebrew, primitivi. Look how primitive, he doesn't even know. The word gets back to the nurses that the guy doesn't know who this famous rock star is. It gets back to the doctor, who unfortunately is a Jewish guy, but he's not religious. Did you hear about this primitive Orthodox guy? He doesn't know who this... Finally, it's his turn to be seen, examined by the doctor. So I hear you're getting married, the doctor says. Yeah. Probably one of those Orthodox matchmaker type things. Yeah. You people, you're just not with the times. Why don't you become modern already? Get with the ways of the world. This kid was not stupid. This is Dr. Schwartz. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you been married? He says to him, 5. He says to him, sir, you have nothing to teach me. Have a nice day. You know what I'm saying? Who is he going to teach? Us? He had 5 failed marriages? We know what we're doing. So we talked about Shabbat. How do you deal with a disagreement? Let's say you disagree. How do you deal with a disagreement? Do you just walk out, march out of the room? Some people do that. Or do you sit down and say, let's find a compromise? Marriage is a business, a not-for-profit business. And it's all about coming to compromises a lot. And there's more, but I gave you a good gist. Go ahead.
Assuming it's a logistic conversation,
Yeah.
as far as the dealing with the agreement, because if there's a personal stab being thrown, then it's not a logistic conversation anymore, and the person should leave.
I'm not understanding you.
So,
You mean you're getting responses that are not acceptable?
as far as dealing with the disagreement, assuming it's a logistic conversation, then yeah, to sit and to talk would be the solution. But if there's personal stabs and jabs, and it's
Of course not. That's a toxic relationship already. Absolutely. Sure.
Rabbi, maybe we could open up if people want to ask questions.
Yes. Yeah. By the way,
Yes, please.
I have given you guys a lot of material to chew on. Anybody have any questions on anything?
Don't be shy. It's not an
Go ahead. Hit. Let's go. Yeah.
When you said, a good question would be, what do you do to maintain
You
your
want to tell me?
spirituality?
Yeah.
And you said that for a girl, it would be that she prays once a day or says Tehillim. So a question on that, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus because you guys are all my brothers, you guys are all my sisters, but I would assume that does she dress modestly if she prays once a day? Is that a requirement of one should have, or not at all? Or let it grow with the time, with the passing of time?
Everyone is made up of a different makeup, and good, thank you for the word, and a different constituency. Like this one is 30% that, 20% this. It depends on where she's headed. As you talk to her, do you see movement in this direction? You understand? Tell her, you know what, down the road, I would love it if my wife would cover her hair and wear skirts. Why? Because, first of all, let me tell you something. I was, years ago, maybe 6-7 years ago, I was mentoring a Ukrainian model. I mean, this woman was stunning. And she was a Balat Tshuva, she became religious. And we're talking about tzniut, modesty. And I was giving her a lesson on this. And I said to her, don't think they're staring at you because you're good looking. They have one idea in mind. That's what they're thinking about. That's what men are thinking about. Okay? Wait, let me just finish. And how you dress defines how people look at you and what they're thinking. So she says to me, Rabbi, you're absolutely right. In my old club days, if I dressed very revealing, a certain type of guy walked up to me. Then when I changed it, and I then became more modest, a whole different kind of character, caliber guy came to me. Much more elegant, much more refined. It's all about, it's what, how you dress will attract what comes to you. You agree? 1000%. And she said, and she seconded it. I was teaching it. She said, Rabbi, from my life's experience, this is absolutely correct. So tzniut isn't. Let me just. Tzniut is critical. I would give the girl a chance if she's interested and it's on her monitor going forward, because it's just going to make her life better. Go ahead.
Please, anyone else? This is the time to ask.
This is a multi-pronged question, but based on what you're saying before, related to what you're saying before. What's the number one ingredient, firstly, that's you can't compromise on in dating and in a marriage? For an example, the Syrian world, white hat and black hat, right? Let's say you come from a black hat community.
Yeah.
You're not so black hat yourself, but you come from that community, your family is that. Let's say the girl is white hat, and she comes from that, they're very, very stubborn on that. Mixed wedding, not covering hair.
I don't care about that. I care about what she's thinking and what you're thinking, and if both of you agreed that you want to go in a certain direction. I don't care about what the black hat family thinks and what the white hat family thinks. I care about the 10 or 15 or 20 dates you've gone on, and you've discussed the kind of life you want to live together. At the end of the day, you're going to bed with her, not them.
Absolutely. So if you're fine on all that stuff,
Yeah.
but she feels
What?
background differences
Yeah.
are an issue. And then you also
The what?
If she feels that background differences
Are an issue?
are an issue.
That's her problem. If that's her hang up and she can't get over it, you got to move on. You can't force anyone into a relationship. She has to want it. She has to be willing to fight for it. Many couples, I had that in my own marriage, understand? Where we had to overcome certain family things, but my wife was headed in the right direction. She was actually more religious than me, which is, by the way, what I tell every guy. Date up religiously. Always take a girl better than you. Because the girl controls the home. In Hebrew, we call the Ekeret Habayit. She's the foundation of the home. She's going to get that guy out of bed and get him to shul. But you can't pull a girl up.
You also spoke about high anxiety.
Yeah.
High anxiety, if one side has it, let's say the girl has high anxiety.
Yeah.
The boy doesn't know what the word anxiety means. Is that a problem? Is that...
If the girl suffers from anxiety
That's the issue.
and the guy doesn't, does it bother him? It depends on his personality. If the guy is, robot, supercharged, he's not going to be able to handle her. You need a guy who's very tolerant to deal with a girl who has anxiety. I have that right now. Right now, I'm dealing with this case in Miami, where I have a girl who has fantastic midot, but she's got anxiety and depression. There was a Yom Ha'atzmaut event over the weekend. Guy came to pick her up. She's in bed. She didn't get out of bed for 2 days. The father was on the phone with me today. How much could you tolerate? He's worried that the boyfriend's going to pick up and disappear, because how much can he handle that? So, we're trying to get the right mix of medications and at the same time, therapy. It's okay to have an issue in life. It's okay to have an emotional condition. It's okay to have a medical condition. I speak as a doctor now, as long as it's being managed. The problem is when people ignore it and don't get the proper help. That's the problem. They refuse to take the meds. They don't take the meds consistently. They don't go for help. That's the problem.
So in your experience, what's the number one factor that's not compatible, that can't happen?
There's no such thing. It's all subjective. There's no one quality. Each community has different things. The Persians have their quirks, the Bukharians have their quirks, the Syrians have their quirks, the Ukrainians have their quirks. It depends.
I don't mean in the community, I mean in general.
There is no general thing. There isn't. Some people, you know what? Every one of us have different tolerance. If I itch you on your hand, some people are strong, it doesn't bother them. Others are very dainty. They can't handle little things. It's a case-by-case basis. To tell you that there's one quality that the whole world would accept, yeah, she's not Jewish, he's not Jewish. That's about the only one that I can think of. Every one of us is built and assembled and wired differently. So, can't. Anything else? Go.
You actually answered one of my questions during the response to him. So the difference between a guy being more religious and the girl being much less religious, or
Big problem.
vice versa.
Yeah.
That I have seen a lot of marriages fail where the guy was more religious, and the girl was not, and he tried pushing her, and at one point she said, "Just stop it! I had enough."
It's a huge problem.
The other way around, I've seen some marriages fail, but it works out more in
Right.
favor of
Right.
religion.
Okay, I'm happy. No, I know. It's time tested. I'm doing this 30 years. If the girl's better than the guy spiritually, it's looking really good. But not a lot. Can't have too much of a disparity. But she's a few degrees higher, she'll pull him up. But good luck trying to pull a girl up if you're more religious than her. It's not happening.
Spiritually, they won't be on the same level, but outwardly they're different things.
What's that?
They spiritually should be on the same level.
Yeah.
But outwardly, they're doing different things. Let's say outwardly.
Yeah.
She dresses not this, whatever it is. But
Now that's a problem depending on your community.
vice versa.
Nah, but that's a problem. Do you want to walk in, let's say you come from a black hat, you want to walk into a wedding and your wife's got stuffed all the way down? I don't think so. I don't think so. That's a very big social crisis you have on your
But
hands.
she dresses very honestly, but needs a mixed wedding.
What? She dresses modestly and then what?
But she wants a mixed wedding. She has to have a mixed wedding. It won't compromise her mixed wedding.
What's the problem?
Or things like that.
I would bend for that.
Who better is it?
Yeah. If you see that down the road she's headed in the right direction. But definitely have her checked out by someone like me. I sit with a lot of couples that are dating and to see if they're made for each other or not. Get a third party opinion on that. With someone like me or someone like me, but someone who really spends a lot of time in dating. I know this stuff, I can figure it out in 10 minutes. Yeah.
Why do you think people are so anxious and depressed today? Because you mentioned that, and I think that that's something that needs to be addressed. There's a lot of people today that are suffering from anxiety, depression, because I'm a life coach, I deal with a lot of different people, and I see that it's a big issue. So why would you say that today is so high?
Life pressures to some extent.
People had life
Yeah, I know.
pressures, before, in the past. Today we have it better than ever in history.
Right.
If we really look at it objectively and honestly.
Oh, we've never had it better.
No.
In terms of
So
materialism.
today people suffer from anxiety.
Yeah.
So, what would you say? How would you?
I'm not sure. I don't want to mislead you.
I would guess.
I mean, hey, what do you have to say?
I would guess that it's because people are a lot weaker. And
I know what I want to tell you,
okay.
but then you might come back to me with an answer. My initial gut instinct would be that if a person spends 5 or 10 minutes every day, every other day on emunah, faith in God, they'll be more immune or immunized to anxiety.
But even in
But you're going to tell me, but there are religious people that have anxiety.
way high. So many kids that from the best families, the best everything, and they're having. So it's a big phenomenon. It's not just by the
I'll tell you what it is.
overall.
I don't feel bad that I can't answer that question because it's not my specialty.
No, I get it.
What have you heard?
No, I feel that
What are your thoughts?
people are a lot weaker. People are a lot
Hold on, that's a general statement. What? Then let's trace that comment. Why are they weaker?
Why are they weaker?
Yeah, keep going with that.
Because good times create weak people. And then weak people create bad times. And then bad times. And it's like a whole cycle. So it's like
You're saying because we're wealthy, but that's actually to our detriment.
It's like the littlest thing and they break down.
Yeah, they're
People
fair.
before, they were like able to go through.
So you're answering your own question. Essentially, it's not that because they're wealthy, because we're wealthy we have problems.
How do you know it's worse now than it was a generation ago?
Because
I don't know.
it's proven.
Can I comment?
That people suffer.
Of course you can comment.
It's a victim role.
It's a different generation.
How do you know?
Oh, people play the victim.
Well, no one said that.
Could be.
Guys, who else has questions? Ladies, please. We need some from the ladies because all the guys are hijacking the questions. Just ask anything. No one's judging.
My pleasure. We're good? Okay, I gotta go pray. We have 10 guys, by the way?
I think so.
You want to make me a arbit? I'll be the Hazan, so I'll help you guys lead.
I just want to, can I see it?
Sure.
Okay. So, thank you so much, Rabbi, for having us. And I want to say to every one of you, okay, if you could just give me like 2 minutes, guys, just 2 minutes. I want to say to every one of you, right now we're living in a very difficult time, but we're also living in a very wonderful time. And I think it's so important that we awaken the best part of ourselves and that we really focus on how we can grow. And that's what the rabbi was saying, that we need to be happy by growth, and growth is life. So I give a bracha to everybody that we should keep growing, keep living, and always remember to shift on and to be happy. God bless. Thank you. Okay, can you just, thanks. And thank you so much.